This is the Two Broadcasters podcast coming at you on a frigid January day with my beautiful co-host Sarah Jenkins, and I am Lori Day. And I passed the first intro of, not messing it up, making sure I introduced who we are, because sometimes we roll right in, don't we, Sarah?
We roll in, we roll out, we roll over, we get rolled underneath. I don't know. There's a lot of steamrolling and rolling, and
we're coming at you today with a podcast simply titled "These Broads Got Questions," and I'll just be the first to bring up. I got questions about our technical abilities, which leads me to this, Sarah.
Oh,
yes.
Am I mirrored? I'm mirrored. Well, but
Oh,
I'll draw
okay.
a backwards one. Here we go.
Okay, now you're suddenly the riddle.
Just discovered that I don't know. I can't draw backwards. Question mark. This is going to take time. Okay, continue.
Well, oh my God. I got questions already about what's happening on this cast. So I'm gonna make a couple of announcements before we get going into our probably litany of questions, which we always got to just cut it because we'll put it on another episode because there's a constant barrage of questions. Are there not our friends out there? Okay, we're not the only ones with questions. And we just like to vent ours because our questions are part of the way we express much without giving our listeners conclusive answers in some cases. But questions are part of a healthy mind and a healthy society. And so we feel strongly about just asking a lot of questions when they pop up. So we've been collecting a few. And but first off, I would like to say that the Two Broads are now on YouTube. Oh, hang on. Where's my little clap? Where's my little fan club? Where's the crowds cheering? Where's the pyrotechnics, Sarah? All right. Is that what's required now? Don't get me started. It might be a question for later.
So everybody is tuned off now. Tuned out. They've left. Everyone has left the building except for us. We're all alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been doing this podcast for now. This is a 143 podcasts we have done. In June or July, we will be hitting 4 years. All right.
My word. That's insane.
So, when I say that we've been slow to the YouTube thing, I think that those numbers just bring that into the, the non-question mark. So we have been slow to that roll. We are up. Okay, so please legitimize the fact that we're up and go subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are a YouTube person who enjoys watching podcasts on YouTube, please add us to your list. And we would greatly appreciate that because these two broads been working hard. All right. So,
yes.
and we're fairly challenged. I speak for myself mostly, Sarah. Although Sarah is now handling the YouTube end of it, and they don't make things easy, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know for anybody out there that's set up these platforms and gets has to deal with the massive amounts of different platforms that it takes to get the word out there, and then the learning curves, this, that, the other thing, and we're not getting paid for our time to do or learn these things. So we're just two broads trying to come at you in all the means we can. And so we are up on YouTube. We are Two Broadcasters, and it's at Two Broadcasters.
Yes, at 2TWO Broadcasters on
Thank
YouTube.
You.
Yes.
I was going to
put a visual
spelling. You drawing another sign? You're just bragging because we're on YouTube. Now you can show little signs.
Put a visual on all of the craziness. If you've been leaving our show to your imagination because you're watching it because you're listening to it on audio, now you can put a real visual to it. You can see these two broads in all their glory.
And I'm not going to lie that I'm going through a little bit of a internal adjusting to that to convince myself that I don't need to think about it. And because honestly, I really don't want to think about it. However, in part of the journey of getting here was a lot of thinking about it. And I just didn't really like it. Listen, we're used to being able to do whatever. But Sarah and I decided let's just do whatever anyway. So, because we're not the slick techno, no fancy, we don't have the big staff, none of it. All right. We're not going to change a thing. But although I am happy that people can see what I feel is the awesome banner behind me, the awesome logo. I do also want to point out that you will sometimes see Sarah's son walking in the
Yeah,
background.
that was a cameo. Now the whole YouTube
But-
universe can see what nobody has been able to see yet, except for our guests.
And,
Occasional
true.
walk by, the walk on. It's a walk on roll.
Well, and last week we discussed that, unless you're listening to this cast and you just learned who that was, that's going to be, maybe he's part of our technical crew. All right.
Hey, there you go.
So,
He does have an illustrious tech career. So
well, he does indeed, but not when it comes to these two broads.
No,
that's for sure.
No, he doesn't lend any of his talents to the show.
No,
he would if we asked him. That's who he is.
So. And we may. It's still early, and
it's still early
on the two broadcasters timeline. It's still very early. So the race is on, ladies and gentlemen. Will we generate more interest this way? Will we get more listeners? That's our hope. Will people share a little bit more? That's our hope. Is there encouragement to be given to others? That's our hope. Does somebody want to flip us a bone, and do some sponsoring? That's a hope. However, it's not the main hope because, of course, we're always going to be running the will we make money before we get canceled, race. So depending on how crazy it gets out there in Crazy Town, who knows, right? So, but Sarah, I'm excited about this. All right. And thank you for leaning in to the addition of making this happen, because Holler at Your Girl wasn't hollering at all about that. All right. So welcome to us, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
And so that announcement is a pretty big deal to us. Also, we do have a bulletin that we send out through email. So we try to, it's new and there's only been a couple things put out, but we're trying to put in some extra information or links or organizations sometimes we mention, or this, that, and the other thing about the cast we've done. But it's also a space where Sarah and I can feel free to just kind of write whatever we want. So it's an opportunity to perhaps get to know us in a different way, that might just be more artistically inclined or what have you. So, come on. And that's right? That's the two broadcasters at gmail.com. Yes. And if you want to email us at at gmail.com, please send us your email address. And we're actually got a little thing on there now that if you share the bulletin through email, if you give us a few more email. Now, the first person I can't remember what the number is, but the first person who shares so many email addresses with us, we're going to send you the handy dandy Two Broadcasters mug that Sarah just lifted a second ago. Show that bad boy up here. That's not a bad boy. Show that bad broad cup.
Yeah, I'm mirrored, so it's going to look.
It's
backwards.
Okay.
It's okay.
Well, here, other than the letters, this is one of the things I love about our logo.
This is what I love about, hang on. We've got this. Watch. And there you go.
Oh, come on, Sarah. Listen.
See, I can change it very quickly. I'm going to change it back because nobody's used to seeing. Actually, I don't know. I kind of like it like that. I don't know why it was mirrored. I never mirrored it, but.
Well, the default settings, maybe we don't know.
Yeah,
what's happening.
Usually clicked, and I don't unclick it because I'm like, I don't care if it's mirrored or not. What do you like better? You like this better or the other way?
I like when you show something, it's not backwards.
Yes. All right. So we're going with not backwards for the win.
Because when you held up the question mark thing, I had a question mark about the question mark. Okay. Stop.
There we go.
See,
that was my failed attempt. Sorry, at a backwards. Question mark. So we'll cover that up. All right.
Maybe I need to make a little question thing that, appears. So, because here we go again, and we got plenty of them. Sarah, let's get down to it.
Let's do it. Let's do this.
All right. I'm just going to shout out a little one. You know how we all talk about the weather, and there's sometimes I've been in my life where it's just like, I am so annoyed if people always just want to talk about the weather. It seems like the lowest possible hanging fruit is to talk about the weather. My goodness. If you have been outside or have a window or have a TV, which out of all three of those, I know the last one to be true. You probably know what the weather is, but Sarah, a little concerned about Colorado. You know why?
What's going on in Colorado?
No snow. That's what's going on in Colorado. All right. Now, so
that's weird.
Is that a question? Why is there no snow in Colorado? It has snowed very little. It has the mountain. No, what the scene you normally see in Colorado from the cities. So they got their latest snowfall, I think, on record this year. Their first snowfall was December 10th. That's really late in Colorado. And I did live in Colorado for 12 years. Listen, it's not unusual for it to start snowing in October, especially in the mountain range, but it's just been pretty abysmal. And I just want to say that's disconcerting for the Colorado River. So we have talked about this water problem. It significantly came up on both of the casts we did on data centers. Okay. We've also mentioned it in other casts, alluding to water's the new gold and land grabs and all this stuff, much to do about water. And there's a problem with water, in case you didn't know. But the Colorado River is the lifeline to many of the to the west. It's going to affect Nebraska, but it'll affect everything southwest. And I think it's something like 27% of the water that comes off of it goes to California. And California has not been very proactive in building any water reservoirs rather. They are very behind here in the water reservoir. So it's probably a good thing they're getting a lot of rain, maybe. But if they don't have the reservoirs, what's happening? So it's very interesting. San Diego and Los Angeles have seen a lot of downfall in water, but at the same time, are they able to capitalize on that besides it just creating a lot of chaos? Because those regions are not built for this.
Right.
Incidentally, too, you got Las Vegas. Hello, let's hear it for Las Vegas, who is about to get another data center or big data center, and they rely heavily on, and listen, the Hoover Dam, Lake Mead is about gone. All right. I'm just here to say I was just there in October. It is annoyingly. It's just like, what is happening? Should they make everybody come out here on a field trip, perhaps? Do you not get out to check the Lake Mead anymore? Because a lot of boaters aren't even using it.
Wow. And that's such a beautiful area too.
Oh, it's fantastic. So I got no bone to pick with Nevada. It's a beautiful state, actually, but this whole building the kind of city that is Las Vegas now, in a place that should have never had a city this size, in all honesty, come on. But now let's just add on top of it some big fat data centers, and, there should be a lot of questions, So anyway, kind of praying for some snow out there in Colorado. I know we have seen very little snow here, and it's a problem. It is going to be a problem unless we have, and I keep saying, we're probably going to get the crazy spring. When things are supposed to be blooming, we're going to be getting dumped full of snow. But at this point, it's necessary. This water problem is a problem. So, I don't know if that's a question, but I feel like talking about weather is a low-hanging fruit, but yet I don't think we're talking about the ramifications of what's happening, because if we're all going to start suffering a drought out here in the West, big problem, bigger than it already is, because it already is a problem. But there's that, Sarah.
Well, and most of our, because we get so much imports, it's really hard to tell anymore, but a lot of our grain, or at least whatever is grown in the United States, a good portion of that is grown out west, in the Midwest, and out in more in the plains, area where you are and everything. And so, a drought is not good for grain, for wheat production.
Sure,
at
but
all. So,
that's, talking about fruit and everything out in California. I mean, there's a lot going on. It'll affect the wine all of it,
mhm.
So, I'm just saying this to say this. Feel free to keep throwing that water on those country clubs and those lawns, because we better we better make sure that has the illusion of having plenty of
Mm,
water. Okay,
interesting.
too salty.
Interesting.
Okay, go ahead.
No,
Give me
I
a
just
question.
oh, a question. I
Well,
mean,
what are we
do we have
questioning?
do we have a like an ordered list or do we just go in
No,
for it?
just
Cuz
go in for it. I
I'm
mean,
I'm questioning I'm questioning a lot of things right now that have to do with this administration. I'll just come out and say it. I'll speak for me. I'm questioning our entire administration right now, and I am questioning what in the world is going on in US politics and who do we think we are and why are we kidnapping? Okay,
okay.
there's debate over whether that term should be used. But why are we going into other countries and bombing or doing whatever, right? And then taking their leaders. Why are we prosecuting world leaders in Brooklyn, New York? I got questions about that first of all. And then what the heck is going on in Iran? So we got Venezuela, we got Iran, we got Greenland. I'm just going to bring them all out and then we'll just parse them as we need to because I got questions about Greenland, Venezuela, and Iran. And I'm really just, I'm kind of beyond irritated at this point that more people are not going, hey, wait a minute, none of our business. What are we doing? People are praising this. So I don't know. That's where I'm going to start with. I got questions about U.S.
Oh
Political
my God,
policies.
Sarah. I mean, listen.
I also have questions about a certain someone and some of his posts and whether or not he's leading a certain nation with a full load upstairs. But that's for later.
You
We'll
said
get
full load, but listen, Sarah, I
full
I need,
basket, full
first of all,
something.
I think we've just displayed my previous mentioning of the race between sponsorship and cancellation.
Well,
But
listen.
here we are. Us broads are just, speaking for what probably a lot of other people have on their mind. In fact,
I
I
got
know they
questions.
do. And we save ours for the mic. You know what I mean? I'm not coming in on social media with any of this because
No,
just a regular psyops goat rope.
and nobody's listening anyway. And I say
I
nobody's listening. Everyone is speaking over everybody else, and nobody really wants to listen. They just want to be heard. So I like a platform like this, Lori, where we can come in, and the people who come and tune into us, they're tuning in because they want to listen. So thank you, everyone,
thank you.
for
And
wanting to listen.
thanks for giving it a shot. Okay.
Yes.
Take care. Sarah, you bring up much. All right.
I'm bringing it
And
up.
these are questions that I think my biggest question is some of the stuff I may already have my own personal answer to. All right. But I think the question that really gets me too in vain with all that is why so much at the same time? All right. Because if there's anything that seems clear to me is we get closure on nothing.
Mm-mm.
Or is that true? You see what I'm saying? You see where I went there?
Yep.
Because it's just this constant barrage of fire starters. All right. Now, some places are literally on fire. I'm not saying these things aren't happening. What I'm saying is, though, you get the metal fire going over here. We're going to go and metal into this. All right. And there's geopolitical reasons for absolute all of it. And it boils just down to the word power. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to draw the interesting geopolitical aspects of each one of these countries.
Yes.
Okay. But what I think is annoying is how the news, what do we call it? The Ganda machine. Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right. So
It's
if you hear us say
Ganda
Ganda,
Panda.
the
Yeah.
Ganda Panda means propaganda. The Ganda machine fired up on leaving you at the edge of your seat. All right. So that all of these topics stay in the realm of inconclusiveness, but yet they poke it just enough to make it
Mhm.
seem like there's something new. Do we know anything new? Listen, I'm okay. We're still, even POTUS mentioned himself. Are we still talking about that island where crazy stuff is going on in his reference to the Epstein Island? The infamous Epstein Files, all right, which is, listen, I I'm not that smart, but I feel like I knew from the get-go we were never gonna see a bunch of name. All right, come on. What do you call that? Like when what did we call it when we had to lay down arms, or we had to all have arms, mutual destruction, like the thing with Russia and us where we had
Oh, like a
the
ceasefire or like
no,
you're
it's like the
talking. Yeah, you're
mutual,
talking about I know what you're talking about. And my brain won't pull it
what's
up
it
right now.
called? I'm right on it,
Um,
but I'm not saying it right.
yes, I know what you're saying.
This is what it is.
Hopefully our
Okay,
audience knows what we're saying.
that's what this, I'm convinced that all the people in the geopolitical realm are up to no good. All right, in a very dodgy sort of a way. And I feel like it's like a hazing.
Hmm.
All right, because at any given time, everybody's got something on everybody. Crazy? I don't know. I got questions. Because supposedly, if there's so many names on this thing, that we have to take the old black Sharpie. All right. Black Sharpie? Listen, and does anybody even believe that that's an actual
I
document?
was like,
Listen,
that's
I
probably
could,
not even the Epstein files. It's probably like
come
somebody's
on.
lunch menu, and they were like, "We got to give them something." Well, here, just make it look like it's redacted.
This is
And
what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. I got questions that there's even a file that's actually
yeah,
printed on a piece of paper, that an
exactly.
actual Sharpie is actually crossing out actual names,
Oh my word.
and actually being shown
Yeah.
on a screen as though that's proof
If you can
that the
uncover
file
some of those
exists.
redacteds, it's like, Peking duck,
It
$25.
could be anything. That, like, you could just hang out at somebody's law office, and hang out by the Xerox machine of the stuff that's going in the trash before it's shredded, and going, oh yeah, that's a big load right there. We're gonna pull those out. Get that Sharpie out there.
It's
Life
like,
has
you
come
don't think
down
those
to
weren't destroyed already? I look at how, if you look back through history at how many fires and bombings and whatever else has taken place that were all in the name of destroying files and records that tie certain political people to
please.
certain things. Are you kidding? You really think the Epstein files somehow exist somewhere? They might, maybe they do, but we're not going to see it.
Well, that's exactly it.
Good
Because if
grief.
they
People.
exist only for those to use against each other. All right, in a way that these geopolitical moves aren't being met properly, this, that, or the other thing, and
Yeah.
depending on somebody's popularity in their country at the time, it's like, hey, what I could pull out? All right, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I could pull out.
Well,
I don't know. I could be completely off the reservation, and if you're, new to this cast, just know that we're comfortable with, kicking ourselves off of the said reservation from time to time to ask a bunch of questions. And it doesn't mean I'm right, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong. So, but
well,
I just feel like my question is, have we gotten to the point of deception that's so easy now that all it's required is paper and a Sharpie? This this is a question that I have. All right. Sarah, the hypocrisy runs so deep that it's beyond the pale of trying to figure out any one of those situations that you mentioned regarding Venezuela. Um, the people are happy. Okay. good. You know what I'm saying? Like dictators, bad, got that and feel that. I feel like we're all going to be under that. So I definitely don't want to seem callous to any one situation because that's the opposite of what I am. However, for the context of our conversation, uh, please, do we know for sure? I
Well,
feel so in the distrust lane, Sarah, that what are we doing right now? I mean, is this just so? It's so obvious to me. Dictators bad. Uh, Take that off the table. Why this one now? Okay. Why not others that have been in the dark, literally? Oh, North Korea.
yeah.
What are we naive to is this what's happening? They don't have internet in North Vietnam. I mean, in North Korea.
Korea,
So
yeah.
what are we apparently the white horse only rides, with the direction of the rider, because it doesn't make any sense in righteousness. It doesn't make any sense in humanitarianism in that some are picked over others and this, that, and the other thing. And let's just get back to the glaring thing that I can't help but come down to is why? Why us? Why are you? Stop it. Because we have serious problems here. Many we can see and many that are on the horizon. Right here. So I feel like that's part of it. I feel like a lot of this is a deflection, if you will, on looking across the street, one state over, wherever, and realizing what's coming down the pike in your own neighborhoods, in your own country, the amount of land that's being stolen here, it's bad. We have our own soft dictatorship here and have for quite some time. So without pointing a current finger, to lose the potential of half the potential sponsors, well, we're gonna just say that it's not new. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? The whole "are we the world's police" thing has been a question since I've been alive. I mean, I can remember this conversation when I was very young, in regards to the Vietnam War. It's an ongoing theme here, as the themes of war typically are.
Yeah, and I think,
So,
when you look at the fact that, okay, we didn't go in there as saviors to, oh my goodness, these people are being oppressed. We've got to come in here, ride in on our horses and save them. Like you said, it's not a humanitarian effort, right?
right.
We didn't come in there. And if it was something like that, you would have heard about this, would have been pumped out. Look at the atrocities. Speaking of atrocities, there's a whole bunch of Christians getting slaughtered in Nigeria right now, but we haven't entered Nigeria to take them over. I mean, like you said, North Korea, we could name Saudi Arabia has a long history of oppression of women, as do other countries. I mean, like we could name so many countries, so many nations, so many states around the world that are filled with atrocities. So
Right.
why Venezuela? Why now? It's obviously not a humanitarian effort. And right now I'm seeing a lot of videos being put out there where Venezuelans are, they're crying and they're so thankful. And they're saying that we Americans don't understand, what they've been through. I can sympathize. I'm not saying that anyone down there has not been oppressed. I've never been to Venezuela. I've not seen it with my own two eyes. I don't know the condition of everyday life in Venezuela. And that's not the point, or shouldn't be the point, of the outrage that we need to have at acts like this by a government, right? Like, I feel for anyone in the world, including the American people, who have gone through any sort of oppression or been wronged by government, because it's corruption. It's wrong all across the board. You cannot treat people like property. I don't care. It's not, we're human beings. Okay. But when a country goes in and just takes over or just comes in, oh, this is ours now. what gives America the right? What gives our government to come in? It's not our place. If Venezuela is struggling, Venezuela somehow needs to do something for themselves. That's going to come off really wrong and people are going to misread what I'm saying. I'm going to try to kind of get in this without going in the weeds of anything. It is like anything else. We don't just cry out to other countries to come in and change American politics and change, all of these various things that are happening here. And I don't remember them crying out to us, reaching out, can you help us? I don't know. I'm not in the back scenes of all of that. I'm not in the behind the scenes of all of that. I think it's not a cut and dry issue. It is not this crystal clear, here's the facts, boom. I think that it is a very difficult situation. And I think that there could be arguments for all sides of this. But at the end of the day, the main thing and the point that I want to get across is that governments, countries, people groups cannot just swoop in somewhere and just take over because they can, whether it's for oil, whether it's for land resources, whether it's for fill in the blank. You can't just go take over because you feel like it, because you can, because you have the means to. And we don't, at whose order was this? Do we really think it was just our administration? Are there other countries involved in this that we don't know about? I could think of a couple that could definitely be involved, that are usually involved in pretty much every warlike maneuver that we make and that we go to war on behest of. I digress. But the whole Venezuela thing, it seemed like, for me at least, and I do live under my very comfy, cozy rock most days. I enjoy it under there because the state of the world is just so ridiculous that I don't have enough popcorn to watch what's going on. That, it's like one day, okay, and then the next, boom, we bombed Venezuela. We ran in there. We took the leader and his wife. Now they're in Brooklyn. They're facing charges. Oh, now we've freed Venezuela and we're taking over. Wait, I need a rewind button. What just happened? What did we just do? Because now I've got more questions than answers. And like you said, we can assimilate the answers. We can pull them all together. But it's just it's more distraction, I think, Lori, and it is more of the pit people against two political sides while other parties are coming in to do things that are in their best interest. It's not in our best interest as America, as far as the people go. It's not in Venezuela's best interest necessarily. And I've heard the argument that, before when we were controlling oil supplies or something there, that their economy was better. But is it America's job to boost the economy of other countries? Is it America's job to free people from socialism and oppression in other countries when we've got our own people on the streets so addicted to drugs? We've got veterans, we've got all kinds of people so addicted to drugs, people with mental illnesses. We've got families who can't afford to buy groceries right now. We've got that doesn't even breach the surface. And we've covered so many of these topics on the show, Lori, about the state of things in America. And I am not saying that we are under the same kind of oppression that North Korea or Venezuela or some other country is under. I am not trying to say that we feel it like they do. But we are by no means the American dream. We're not magical Disneyland over here up in America. People are suffering and going through some really hard things as well. Why are we handling other people's so-called problems? There's more to the story, and we need to be asking more questions. The American people and people around the world need to be asking more questions and not politicizing it to one specific side or the other. Don't read a narrative of why you should be outraged about this. I don't want you to come in as a liberal and go, this is wrong because of this narration. And I don't want you to be a conservative and come over here and go, oh, but this was good because of this. Think for yourselves. We just had a cast not too long ago about actually stepping away from the noise and thinking about it for yourselves. Analyze it for yourself. Take a look at this and say, is this okay? Is this okay? Because I'm sorry, we cannot come in to wherever we want just because there's an atrocity and think that we're going to fix it and make it better. Who does that make us? Who do we think we are? And that's not the whole reason that we went down there. That's not even the reason we went down there. So, all right, I'll shut up and I'll let you come back with your wonderful assessments.
Well, no, I can't. I just, and by the way, what's happening with that dude? Where is that guy? Has he been charged? Does he have an attorney? Is there a court date set? Is this military court? Is this Brooklyn court? Is this the People's Court? What do we? Where are we at?
Oh man, put him on Judge Wapner. Remember that show from the 80s and 90s? Oh man.
And listen,
Judge Wapner.
I'm probably just behind the Ganda spewing. Maybe there is hot developments on this. I just have not come across it. But
I can't because it feels like more theatrics. It feels like more power plays, like you said. It feels like more, this is what's good for us, without any regard to what's good for the people you're actually supposed to be governing.
And when we say us, Sarah, I think maybe my question is us like the societies and the wealth that literally run everything?
When I said us, I meant like us.
We the people.
The little people.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, I mean.
Maybe it was hopeful thinking and a segue to go, listen.
Well, like I said,
they don't care about us.
No, right. I'm saying the powers that be are doing what's best for the powers that be, and not for the smaller people. And the thing is, and I'll just tack this on, and then I will just drink my kombucha in my beautiful Two Broads mug and shut up for a minute. But it's all fine and dandy to be all waving your flag and going, yeah, we're doing this and we're going in and MAGA and whatever people are ranting right now, or raving right now. But if it was happening to us, it'd be a whole different story. The tables would be turned. Okay. Yeah. And who's going to come in? Because you're talking about, this is why, and this is where I just go off on a tangent, Lori, because we are a power. We're a very large military power that is able to carry out things, which is why we work in conjunction with other countries on military operations. We're one of the largest, if not the largest, military power in the entire world. And the military industrial complex and the amount of billions and billions of dollars that is poured into it at the behest of all of these operations that are not, what are they benefiting? Our military is supposed to defend and protect our soil. We are doing way more than that. I don't feel like I'm being defended. Sometimes I feel like I'm defending myself, from my own government. All right.
Sarah,
take it over, Laura.
I can't take this over. I'm going to step in so deep that
I'm already in it. I've already stepped in it. Like, it's up to my knees right now.
Well, I'm right here with you, sister. You're not alone. All right. But to your point of, the whole, to me, the whole way in which this was done. Okay. Because we're not the only country trying to take over other pieces of land.
Right.
Well, because we got other countries taking over ours.
Well,
so there has been the soft.
There you go.
Tyranny.
I love that you're bringing this one up.
Approach. All right. That countries have been falling for it for quite some time. And it's called the old money razzle dazzle, or the old, which always just leads to debt enslavement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're very much under that.
Don't forget the land grabs.
Well, this is part of it, is what I'm saying. Because if you steal the land of a country, what sovereignty even is there anymore? Okay. If we're so high and mighty on property rights, then we got serious problems, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got a lot of questions about that, because foreign money to the left and to the right of us is buying up great patches of land here.
Oh, if people knew the numbers It's staggering. It's alarming. It should wake up anybody in the middle of the night.
We know that China owns a pretty good little chunk of our farmland. All right. We also know that we owe China a lot of money. Okay. And we also, the Ganda machine has programmed us to dislike China very much, while pretty much our sustenance relies on China.
Oh, yeah.
Who's fooling who? Who's fooling who? Close all the Walmarts, see what happens. Close all the, please, can we just, all right, enough said.
There went our Walmart sponsorship, Lori. Oh, man. All right. No. Listen, I have to make light a little bit here and there because this is so heavy and ridiculous, and it's just so draining. The stuff that is happening that I'm like, really?
Is there any regenerative farmers out there that would like to sponsor these frauds? Okay. And so you got Africa, which, you know, other than NGOs promoting on the Ganda machine the starvation that's happening there and the tribal wars, don't hear me say they're not real. You got China doing a lot over there, turning around the economies in a lot of the African countries. Okay. Now, they should be able to know by looking at us as an example where that will lead them. And it has led them straight to another form of slavery, which we all are living under. And these people are embracing the better economy right now. But the reality of it is that they are not sovereign like they used to be. And what I'm fast learning is there's no such thing. There is no such thing as a sovereign nation. If power gets like the consuming fire that George Washington mentioned, it's just, what are we doing here? All right. So we all live in little bubbles that make us feel and wave our own flags and root for our own soccer teams and football teams and all the things. All right. The sad reality is that those days have sailed the ship. One of those.
That ship has sailed? I don't know.
We're sailing, which brings up Greenland. All right. So if you're just going to be sailing where you can sail in Greenland to open up new trade, I feel like I'm living back in the days of the Indian, the India expeditions where they were breaking trail to find better routes to India to get all the things that people are coveting. All right. We haven't left there, Sarah.
We haven't left a lot of things. We keep talking about how our modern progression or modern progress is really a form of regression. Like, what is happening? I mean,
that's happening. I think that's what's happening. Yes.
There's no progress. Hello, folks. It's regress.
Okay. Greenland. Yeah. Okay. Again, is this a humanitarian thing? Well, you sent me a video that alluded to some people in Greenland that are very proponents of this due to wanting to open up. Of course, it always is money, right? So they see the advantage of the financial, and the overseeing and the takeover to be like something that will help their country boost themselves up in the economic scheme of life, which was basically the exact same thing that the Chinese have pitched to some of these African countries. You know what I'm saying? That have not underused some of their, listen, and let's just go ahead and say it. If we're going to put the countries we're talking about and kind of, no pun intended, dig into their worths of minerals, whether it's water, minerals in the deep ground, or if it's oil or whatever it is, we might find some commonality there, which of course, means money and maybe some jobs for the typical person in Greenland who gets a job offer that didn't exist. It seems very tempting. This is how they always get everybody everywhere. This is how they get us. This is how they get Africa. I don't care who you are. Venezuela. We've known the Venezuelan problem for eons.
Yes.
15 years ago, people were talking about, we're going to turn out like Venezuela. They're on the verge of communism. We're blah, 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 blah. And nobody was stolen in their night.
Right. Nobody's, running in there saving the day 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
That whole maneuver, my point was originally about, we're living under that whole money takeover thing has been happening for so long. And it's just an ongoing story. It is pretty interesting, Saddam Hussein, there's that, we're just going to go in and kill whatever. Yeah, let's not mince words here. We're going to go and bring him about. Yeah. Okay. But this seems like a whole nother shot across the bow, right? Where we're just going to go in and take the guy and his wife. Okay. Supposedly out of bed. What?
And let's make sure that gets all over the headlines. That in of itself is fishy too. It's like, we hear nothing about this. We know nothing about this. Boom, it happens. But we're going to make sure that we spread everywhere that this is happening.
I want to see this guy.
Why do you want to tell it? Why do we need to know this? Why do we have no inkling this was about to happen whatsoever? But now that it's happening, it's plastered everywhere for us to make sure we know that this happened. I mean, the propaganda machine is hard at work. It's hard at work. And war, Lori, is big business. War and war maneuvers make a lot of people a lot of money. Not people like us, but they're big. War is a business. If people don't understand that yet, if you're not on that train, if you've not studied enough of that, you need to take a look that war is big business. It is a machine. It is a business, and there are people making a lot of money on it.
It's an all-consuming fire. And the more powerful a military gets, the more stuff they start doing that most human beings wouldn't even file under a responsibility of the Department of Defense. Okay. But then they'll call it, modern warfare. Okay. So all I'm trying to say is, the DOD is involved in stuff that's just ridiculous. And we have medicine being made based off money to them. Listen, all this stuff is verifiable on patents. So, there's a lot going on there. And the more powerful and the more money that is put in, and now we're, what? Oh, I wanted another trillion more, but no, sorry, scratch that. Hey, wait, get the paper and the Sharpie and let's redact the 1 trillion. And let's just go ahead and put in
Get out your lunch menu and let's redact.
Let's go ahead and put in 1.5 trillion in there instead. And no one's balking at that much. What are we doing? Well, a lot of people are, but a lot of people are going, yeah, $1.5 trillion on top of a military that's already like supposedly one of the grandest in the world and all the things.
So bloated.
So what all are they doing with that money? How many? You just got to know.
Okay. And we're sending money to other countries, Lori. So in tying in with that, with what you're saying right now, we are also sending, do people not realize that we're sending billions of dollars to other countries?
This is it.
Billions. And I'm not talking about humanitarian aid relief. We're sending billions just to Israel.
To governments.
That's not the only country. Yes.
Who are the worst persons to ever give money to. This is what I don't understand. Why don't we, humanitarianism, please. It's gross. There is no way in my mind or my heart or my soul I could ever line up this machine with anything having to do with humanitarianism. Sure, there's the isolated story of a good soldier. Sure, there's good soldiers. Sure, there's this and that. They're peons, though, in a machine. That's on par with criticizing the system of education.
I was just going to say,
you hate all teachers.
Yeah.
Stop it.
There's
Okay.
great teachers, there's great soldiers, there's great human
Great.
beings.
There's great
It's not the
leadership.
yeah, that's not who we're talking about.
The machine
So,
is the most tainted,
yeah.
destructive, ridiculous thing that most of the stuff, I mean, they're experimenting on their own soldiers. So I can't with this humanitarian thing when the way our own military people are treated.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Zero transparency. Where there is so much secrecy and hidden and things, we're the regular, all the average people, we're not equipped to know these things. Don't worry about it. We've got it handled. We'll take our trillions, we'll build our machine, we'll handle everything. You don't get to know all the secrecy, all the lies, all the backhanded backdoor deals and all the corruption, but it's all for the good. Don't worry. You elected us. We're going to take care of you. I mean, that's the message that is sent across, and it's disgusting.
It's gross. And there's so many wearing flag-colored glasses.
Oh.
And not just here, but literally looking at things through flags constantly. And it's not serving us well to do that. Right. And so you're made out to be like already there could be some people listening to this be like, they hate America. They're not grateful for where they're at, whatever. All right.
Nobody said that, by the way. So if you pull that out of it, you obviously are not listening very well.
Honestly, though, I'm going to tell you something that irks me. There's a certain level of audacity and what's the word they like to throw out so much now? If your own comfort, like it's a hubris. Okay. It's
a lot of hubris going around.
Okay. I feel like so much of you're either, if you can't get behind everything that's about the flag and knowing what's best and assuming that we are the only ones that know what's best, not just for here, but for everywhere, literally in the world, then you're an ungrateful anti-American. Why don't you just move type? All right. First of all, I didn't choose where I was born. God placed me where I was born, as he did everybody on the globe. All right. I just want to say that there's an equal playing field there in the human realm that gets very missed. I consider us to be having such grand opportunities in this country of resources and vastness in the size and scope of the ground we happen to be on, all right, which was of no politicians doing. Okay. That, I'm grateful. You know what I'm saying? I'm grateful, but I'm not blind and I'm not an idiot and I'm not willfully being blinded by everything that's such a lie. And by the way, it's the whole planet's being lied to. This is not just an America problem. I'm sure the Venezuelans are being very lied to. We're probably in charge of their Ganda machine right now. Every country has their own arm of propaganda. And so everybody's getting what's needed to be pushed out to keep things in a copacetic situation to not wake everybody up. But it is interesting that so many countries are waking up seemingly at the same time.
It's interesting.
I got questions. Okay. So go people. All right. Wherever you are, I'm for you. I'm not gonna buy a jersey on,
right.
Go get them. Or we know best who to put into places that we have no concept whatsoever about. We don't care. Let's just say that about their culture, about their history, about their all of that. All right. About their education, about their limitations, about their strengths, about their any of it, right? But please let us go in there and pick somebody that we'll have called an interim. Please, is anything an interim anymore other than the propaganda machine just pausing long enough to give you a new soundbite of another story that's unresolved and of this and of that? Because Venezuela questions, we got questions. Oh, Iran. What? Hang on. We're going to shift stations over here. Iran. There we got a serious situation happening in Iran. We have a real serious situation happening in Iran. Horrific situation happening in Iran. But seemingly, we're going to kind of sit this one out a little bit. Maybe. I mean, we weren't, then we were.
Do we really know? Yeah. Do we really know what's going on?
No, this is my point. And what we have to just learn to do is more people need to understand mind manipulation. I can't speak strongly enough about that and how the evil powers that are understand it so well, and it's so successful, and it's based on actual reality of what you can do with people, and how constant messaging is a huge source of directing people's views. And you forget you even have your own view. And the signs, the symbols, the repetitiveness, the signs, the symbols, the repetitiveness, the signs, the symbols, repetitiveness, that's on every screen in everyone's life is making our frontal lobe go dormant. And that's a real thing. Did I lose anybody, Sarah?
I hope not, because we need to have more questions. Not questions, more discussions. We're going to have more questions. We need to have more discussions about this and about topics like this that are not so politically polarized, that are not coming from a, Republican, Democratic, liberal, conservative, whatever box you want to put something in. Like, let's get out of the boxes for a minute and just have a conversation about what's going on. What do we think about it? What are we seeing? What are the facts? What do we know? What do we not know? Like, are we being pitted against each other? It's like, it's back to that other episode, Lori, from I think a month or two ago. It's like we are so conditioned on how to think and what to think that I'm not sure that if we unplugged and shut everything off, if we would even fully be able to think for ourselves anymore. And I know, like, there's a literal and a figurative in that. But I think that the danger, Lori, is that we don't realize how manipulated we are, like what you were just talking about, right? I don't think we realize, because what we're seeing, what you see on the news, what you see on an Instagram reel, what you see on any type of media is one perspective. It's one particular side. It's one particular bias. Okay. It's what someone wanted you to see. Whether you're watching an influencer clean their home on a Saturday, you're watching a YouTube video, you're not necessarily seeing how that particular individual actually lives their life or cleans their home or what their house looks like, because they've curated what they want you to see. Exactly. They have a bias there of what they want to present to the world. So every news organization is like that. We know that, right? But even in every talking head, every voice that's out there that's got an opinion or some type of narrative on this, all right, there's a bias there that if you look at the machine of things, okay, these biases, which you're talking about with the mind manipulation, right? Okay, and all of this, I don't want to use the word control, but it is very manipulative.
100% well, I know it is.
But very manipulative. It is. Well, it is. Well, I didn't want to get into the term mind control, because that just sounds so, how people go, conspiratorial. Oh, what are they saying? But because the way that it's done, Lori, is so stealthily, it's so you don't see it. You don't realize it, and it is done through social media platforms. It's not just on the television, but it's done through movies,
Absolutely.
television, music, news,
The school,
social media accounts, school
HR
system,
departments. Mhm.
HR departments. I mean, there's so much that we don't even realize we have been slowly conditioned year after year to believe things a certain way. And if this sounds crazy to some people, you just have to go back and look at and how things change and how, what were things 20 years ago? Where does it come today? I was just looking at, and you mentioned this, and I don't know if we want to this, because I have questions about this too. You mentioned this on a recent episode about the rise of dementia in young people, and we were, I think, specifically speaking about screens and things. And I think there's a lot of things going into it. Our food supply is one. There, we could talk about pharmaceuticals. We could talk about the screens. But I saw a really interesting, and they did cite some studies. I saved it. It wasn't fully documented, but it was where I could go back and I could start vetting some of this information. But it was very interesting in the numbers of people from ages 30 to 64, which would be an early onset dementia, and the rise of early onset dementia, people ages 30 to 64, since 1980, since 1990. And it was like 154 to 264% increase. Those numbers somewhere in there, but that was the number that they gave. Again, I need to go back and fully vet all of this.
Mhm.
I saved it so I could do some further research, but it wasn't disbelievable. It wasn't like, oh, well, that's outrageous. It was like, it we're starting to see some signs of things. And I think all of that, and I only mention that because I think it kind of comes into play with so much of what's being done, like you said, to the brain, to the mind, to our thoughts, to how we think, our reasoning, our analytical abilities. We don't even realize just how destructive things are becoming to us. So anyway, I hope I didn't get off in the weeds there.
This whole cast is about the weeds.
It's about the weeds.
We got like big sickles shaped like a question mark, and
There are no show notes here,
we're
guys.
just that's it. It's just the fluidity of conversation. But Sarah, okay, don't call mind control. Some people might, yeah,
well, we
okay.
call it whatever we want to call it, but
No, and you didn't tell me don't, but I get
No, I
that
know.
because a lot of people get, no one's controlling my mind. All right. And who doesn't want to say that? I mean, no one wants to be like, they're controlling my mind,
Even
unless
the
you have to.
ads, all the advertising is, oh
Yeah.
my word.
All right. So call it
Oh,
social engineering. Call
yeah, it
call
is.
it
Yes,
whatever you
social
want.
engineering. Yes.
But if somebody thinks it's not true, they got to catch up. And people have to realize that these orders and these clubs and these fraternities of evil, all right,
Clubs. I like that.
have all the money, and they
Oh, yeah.
all work together, and they all own everything. They all own the media, they all own the educational institutions, they own, talk to me. And that's why they'll cross pollinate for their purposes. And it can't be of any surprise to anyone anymore that there is an agenda for depopulation. If that's news to you, I got nothing.
And that's been going on a long time. So that is documented. That is so documented, and people on the record, you can actually find videos of people talking about this. So,
well, yeah, Bill Gates.
I was just going to say, yeah, our lovely friend, Mr. Bill
but
Gates.
He's just one, and it's from the same tree. They're from the same order. They're from the same frats. All right, they're same whatever these mogul of doom people lurk in and call themselves, but they will all work together for a common, piece of the power, and to get the job done. and listen, when you can't get rid of people fast enough, you implement, because there's some people that don't watch as much. There's some people who read more, that don't do screens all the time. They're still free thinkers. They're still doing,
good job,
hanging on. They're still not taking every pharmaceutical medicine somebody recommends to them. They're still not, but they're hitting us at all levels of weakening our physicality, which makes us then more moldable for engineering.
Well,
and I don't know. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I could just interject just slightly there, I want to make sure that no one goes away from this podcast thinking, well, they've off their rocker. They've lost a few. All right, I don't know about these two broads. Okay, I just want to do a very brief explanation of what you were just talking about. We have a world banking industry. We have world finance that is all connected and tied to each other. We have across multiple countries. We have a world banking system that is so easy to go that's not even disputed. We have a world banking system, a financial system. Okay. Underneath that system come all of these large corporations, which own other large corporations, which own other large corporations, and all of which is what you're talking about. You have the top, the elitist of the elite, these very powerful people. Oftentimes they come from some of the same families. So people talk about powerful families, but you've got a lot of people and a lot of powerful positions of world finance and banking. And underneath that are all of these corporations that are owned. And you can usually trace back most of these large corporations back to the same place because they're all owned by the same people. And these are corporations that are controlling and funding and manipulating and utilizing so many things in our country and abroad around the world. Okay, this is not far-fetched. It sounds conspiratorial and tinfoil hatty, to some people. But when you really look at it, just the bare bones of what it is, it's world finance. It's control. It is political on some arms of it. It's financial in some arms of it. It's religious in some arms of it. But it is all designed for people who enjoy power and self-glory to elevate themselves in that way with little regard for the everyday person. This does not look very different at all from the Middle Ages and a feudalistic society where you had like the Catholic Church, because they were one upper echelon, and then you had the royalty and the nobles of Middle Ages Europe, right? And then you had the peasantry class, which was just all the other people. This is just a different version of that. It's always existed. You could go back to the ancient world, right? This has always existed where there are people who seek power and glory and strength to go in and conquer and do this. And it is all about protecting that elitism and everyone underneath. So all the everyday run-of-the-mill people like you and I, right? We're just the workhorses. We're the worker bees. We're the assembly line that holds it all together, that keeps things going. We are just being used in these power plays. This is not far-fetched. I think almost every book or movie, you can think of that has some kind of, dynamic like this. This story has been told since the beginning of time. And like I said, if you study ancient history to now, we've seen it play out time and time again. It's nothing new. So I really want people to not just go, oh, they're going to talk about that. I'm out of here. Oh, that's just conspiracy theory. I'm so tired of the weaponized term conspiracy theory and conspiracy theorists. Yes, there are some crazy, off the wall theories that get put out there sometimes, I'm sure. And then there are things that are based in logic and reason and fact and things that are supportable. And so I think this is another thing is getting people to dismiss things based on, oh, well, that's just a conspiracy theory. That is a term that it's used to get people to dismiss. Don't look at it. When it's very easy, it's very clear. You can break this down like I just did to see where the arms of control and power go. And world governments are used in this. And they're also pawns in the game. And it's a big game of chess. I don't play chess. I can play checkers. My sons and my husband love chess. They play chess. They've tried to teach me. Maybe one day I'll learn. I actually really don't want to learn, which is why I haven't actually learned. If I sat down, I could and wanted to, I could learn it. But I love watching them play, and truly, what we see on the world stage, Lori, is one very large, very dangerous, very powerful game of chess. And I hope that people can start to see that and understand that's what we're dealing with.
Right. Well, and conspiracy. Listen, if something's not true, it won't get any legs. I mean, it kills itself. You know what I'm saying? But they like to label things that are truth or pretty touching on the truth and put it in that crazy box, for a very obvious reason to me.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
people, and I've never understood why people feel like the truth, you're talking conspiracies all the time if it's just not what you're used to hearing. What if the stuff they put out in actuality are the conspiracies? Why does conspiracies only run one way?
Good point.
I have a question about that. I will stay, like, for example, right now Candace Owens is under a lot of fire for her conspiracies. Now, I don't have to believe or disbelieve anything that Candace Owens says right now.
I got questions about Candace Owens, but that's neither here nor
Doesn't
there.
matter. But
Yeah,
to my
exactly.
broader point, no pun intended, or always intended,
Yes.
she is, I think she is onto something, to which piece I don't know. But the reason I say that is because she's being so massively dismissed by so many big people.
Mm.
And she's being gaslit by people that supposedly, she knew well enough that she felt should be looking into something, and they're not. And so my mind says it's not about Candace Owens. She represents anybody trying to be bold enough to speak something contrarian to what was put out as the mass story. That
Right.
is, you get your butt in line and just believe it. What does this remind you of? So I like get totally pro Candace in that I don't think it's easy for her to be a contrarian right now, unless it's a next level psyops. But I do believe that she's stepping on some toes. And the reason I say that is because, she talks about a lot of different things. And I don't go deep into any of the stuff that she talks about, to be honest with you. But I look at what my eyes sees. And I go with what people are saying that are, for example, major funders who are backing out of that organization of Turning Point, because they got questions. And so I'm
As
thinking,
they should.
she's not the only one that's got questions. She's in the hot seat and the poster child for it right now, one of a few. But again, she's beside the point of the bigger picture that says, just shoot her down. Now, I say that because I've been in that seat, and how uncomfortable it is to be in that seat, that you start to get gaslit, completely, hi, suddenly not taking the calls, the whispers and the murmurs and some of them get back to you. And you're like, yeah, okay. Well, the behavior shifts have made me completely already know this. But yet, when you actually hear things like, conspiracy theory, whatever, and you've got in your hand documents written by the powers that be, pertinent to the information you are getting a meeting for. And then suddenly, what everybody was anxious to see as real, legitimate, factual documentation is now part of the collective. Don't take her meetings. She's nuts. I've lived that.
Wow.
And I don't care if people call me a conspiracy theorist. What I care about is what I know about myself, and I convey and hopefully I articulate things that I'm saying based off of real life observation, some research, and there is a whole lot of documentation out there if people would just get curious enough to want to ask more questions. Most of what I've talked about today could be pulled up on literal texts of things written by departments in the government, by this, that, and the other thing, by the people who write plans for world domination, by people think that's just some crazy thing. It's not a crazy thing. It's a blueprint,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go online and read so much of it. So like I said, how many people in history, Sarah, do you think, and I have no idea, this is just a question, a general flanking it out there. But what I know is historically, there have been many, many great people who spoke contrarian to something or a lot of things or whatever, that people just completely dismissed as nuts. All right.
Mm.
That later on, full circle moments have happened in history over and over and over again. They tried to make Tesla into a nut.
Mm-hmm.
They've tried. I mean, I can think of there are so many examples of this that I'm caught short-sighted on right now, but there has been a lot of people of our past that at their time were labeled nuts, which proved nothing but truth. Sometimes a year later, sometimes a week later, sometimes 50 years later, whatever. Okay. And this is what I'm saying is from a lot of kind of deep diving into stuff like social engineering, like the education system. And there's lots of documentation. I also years ago spent way too much time into the UN and their role in all the things.
Oh.
And the global money, all the things. And
Yes,
I don't know who can't come up from that and not have the same opinion as myself. The problem is not very many people do that kind of thing. So I sound very out there to a lot of people because they're just stuck in the Fed loop. And we all have an innate desire to belong. And this is the psyche of the human that they know, And I want to just say this, Sarah. In terms of what we see here under serious social engineering, that I would say is a number one reality is the divisiveness that's implemented through this paradigm of always just two schools of thoughts. And, you can boil that down more intensely to being two political parties. And then, of course, within each one of those political parties, as humans will be, they get fractured within themselves. So there's variations of degrees within these two thought schools. However, we're going to kind of group ourselves anyway with one thought group over another. And so whoever's president one kind of is steering the rah-rah of the base of that political party, causing more dissension, but they'll boil it down even further within. And here's what I'm here to say. They don't care. The higher ups do not care which political party you stand for. They don't care. What they care about is that you align with one.
Yeah.
Because you have to align with one or another to create the ambiance that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care.
They control both parties. So they don't care. It's like they are both parties.
They don't care. It's just like, we got to make sure we got enough actors over here to, balance the acting machine over here and get the thing and make sure the news is chumping out over here, people, and this news is over here, people, and the algorithms are churning out those people in which you read that thing, so we know to churn out your code blue and your code reds and your this and that's and everything else. I can't take it. I cannot take it. And meanwhile, while we're doing that, we are forgetting the bigger picture of so much that has to do with individual sovereignty and the safety of our families.
Yes. Yeah.
Sarah, here's a question I have. As far as recent, and by the way, if you'll notice a pattern, there has to be a new divisive explosion on the news cycle. I would say once a week, 7 to 10 days, we got to get another one in that kind of gets, might be getting closer to agreements with people or truths, or let's throw this one out there. So like I said at the beginning of the past, there's never conclusive, there's never a follow-up on anything, on the real whys, on the really what's happening with these people, really what's happening with that guy, really what's happening what is happening right now. Okay. And so what they'll do is they'll throw out another, it's like they're just throwing out, they got like landmines, and holy cow, what was happening in Minneapolis. Now we got shoot. Well, now we got shooting things, shootings that aren't even getting much leverage because of the noise of all the other big things they need us to pay attention to.
Flooding that never got any leverage.
More school shootings, yes. And and here's a question. Why aren't we hearing about that?
Yeah.
So, and where people are pretty stuck in Minneapolis right now, good reason, horrific, absolutely horrific. Okay. But what are we going to do? What is the first thing people are doing? They're grasping to their color-coded armor and making a decision based purely on what the doublespeak is of their machine. And they're both wrong. However, I will say this. I'm having a really hard time understanding where people are pro-military, pro-guns, pro-Second Amendment, and with which, if anybody truly understands the Second Amendment, it's a whole nother story, but just to refresh the course, was to protect ourselves against government itself. And at the same time, we're seeing government use force in a way that is completely, in my opinion, unjustifiable. I can't approve this message with and no offense against the officer and no offense for what was going through his head or whatever. I'm more talking about the chatter of the team just being so unbelievably violent in messages. Now, I know some of these are bots, but I personally know a lot of these people that talk in a way that I should hope I should not be talking about people deserving something or this, that, and the thing. Unhinged. To me, people have gotten so unhinged in both of these camps that I find it really hard to stomach any of them.
Yeah.
I'm completely grossed out by it. The very thing that they protect with the whole Second Amendment thing is the very thing that is being used against citizens in ways that I don't really see as a high-level threat. But because this is, and I'm even not talking about that just specifically, there's so many examples of this. And
well, it's like not, I don't know, 10,
here's
20
my
years
question, Sarah. Yeah. What if it happened to somebody in your family for not that exact scenario, but a scenario all the same that could be bantered like this, that someone's going to be so self-righteous as to claim who deserves what, okay? Who's going to be just so callous. And if the machine ever comes after you, I hope you're holding on to that. Because the force you're allowing to be forceful about is the same force that's going after people in countries without weapons, that's going after individuals in our own country from people who not necessarily are even who we thought were our legal arms of defense. We got every possible alphabet soup agency in this country is locked and loaded. Everything from the Department of Education to the Department of Forestry to the Department of, you name it, Department of Ag. They all have the rights to carry around shotguns.
Oh, don't forget the IRS.
Saying. So at what point it's
true story.
It's ice one day against who you think is so wrong. But what day in the not maybe even far away future is it about your land? Is it about your belief? Is it about your kid? Is it about your why do these people think they're inoculated? And we are breeding self-righteousness and hubris that I can't stomach right now. Through the mere arguing of it. There's a bigger picture to be view this from. People are missing it. And the other picture is how people are coerced into picking up righteous alms, and now it's a career path. Okay. There are people shelling out money to people to get behind causes, and they're paying them, which means they are beholden now to them more than the cause. And people that are doing this and paying people know it, and they are intentionally putting people in harm's way by people like ICE. And they know it. It's like a toxic cocktail. And I'm only surprised it's not happening more. And it gives me no pleasure in saying that. Okay, I just jumped the proverbial.
It's out of control. It's out of control. You're not out of control. This train is off the rails. And I mean, Lori, I don't know how we can't, I mean, I know how, but just, in a figurative sense, I don't know how we can't see past this. It has become, it's idolization at its finest. These things have become our idols. These political boxes have become our idols. This media circus has become an idol. The getting so wrapped up and distracted by whatever headline or story or narrative you're being fed from one day to the next is an idol. We are worshiping idols that come in the form of what are actually major distractions from the reality that we're living in, but we're feeding on the illusion and we're idolizing it. We're worshiping it because somehow we bought the lie that is comfortable, that is cozy, that is something that we can believe in and we can hold on to and we're willing to fight for because we aren't ready to face the actual reality. And you can call it social engineering, you can call it cognitive dissonance, we can call it all sorts of things. But I think we have grown as a society to actually enjoy the manipulation. I think in some weird subconscious level, Lori, we like being manipulated and mind controlled and told how to think for whatever reason.
Well, it's a valid question. Was that a question, Sarah? No,
You know,
it's a question because, but I feel like part of that is the warmth of the crowd.
Mm.
And I don't care who you are, if you're just a staunch, I want to, save the planet from everybody that's a red-pilled person that's, got righteous humanitarianism, and the organizations behind much of that are liars. Okay, because it's still all about manipulation into making you believe this. And yeah, do these problems exist? Yes, they do. But my question is, if something bothers you enough, shouldn't you just take it up on your own?
One would
I
think.
I didn't
Well,
belong to a group when I got so horrified by education. I just said, I'm going to go out there, and I'm not great. I'm just an idiot out here, got a lot of questions. And some of my questions were so profound, though. And some of the things that I found were so dark that I felt I just felt, I felt no choice but to try and tell other people about it. So, in all of the things that I used to go around and talk to groups about, whether it was education, the dark side of education, or the dark side of Agenda 21, oh, that was such a lie, Lori. You're nuts. That can't happen. Or the pick one. I got so emotionally and spiritually disturbed about it that I wanted to share. Okay. I was in the wrong arena, but I had the right idea. But I didn't find there was no one with me when I originally struck out doing this. It was just by myself. It was just by myself. For the first time in my life, at the age of 50 or whatever, I'm calling legislative going, what? And, making meetings. And I was nervous as a cat on a hot roof. I didn't know what I was doing, but I went with copies of things, and I went like, I see this playing out in our state right now. Can you draw the line I'm drawing here, or whatever? If you feel strongly enough about something, you're supposed to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to wait to join a group. And if you do join a group, there's no wrong in that. You can form your own group, whatever, but you better keep a tight eye on the group, and you better know what's behind your group, because these groups have such shadowy money, that half the people on either side, if they realize the shadowy money and how they're both paying for both, would be like, I'm out of this group, which is why I'm politically homeless. There were no other dots to connect. They were connected, and it made a pretty clear picture. And I just feel strongly that we have, through the education system, we're molded now to become activists, but only for the things that the school tells you to be for. Okay, that's it. It's just like, does anybody not see that there's a theme here with what young people in school are bringing home in their books, and what college campuses by and large are involved in, a lot of times protests, this kind of thing. And don't hear me say I'm against them. Been to plenty. All right. But again, by myself. I know there's going to be a lot of other like-minded people there for a mutual reason, or maybe a lot of different reasons, and they differ or whatever, but yeah, there's a strength there. I'm going. I'm making the decision for myself to go, right? To be part of that, you're off your chain kind of message. Now we got paid messaging happening. Now, it's not to say everybody is not completely down for the fight. All right. There are. But Sarah, as well as I do, these NGOs and these groups and these things that are paying and getting people in trouble. Yeah. And they literally know that this side is ramping up the crackdown, and this side's ramping up the need for more people to be out there to literally be placing them in harm's way.
It's a
And
game that they're playing. It's a
it's
game.
completely. And that's what I see out of the Minneapolis thing. And it breaks my heart. This is the end result of that kind of situation. Nothing to do with him or her. This is what happened there. This is social engineering at its most horrific outplay. This is where it goes. And I thought the one thing we did study in school was about the Holocaust. However, there was a lot of missing pieces in there, wasn't there?
Mm.
But in terms of, where people got comfortable by not wanting to leave the warmth of the group thing or the this or that, and at the same time the force was rising, and there's so many parallels, but right now everybody's either a Nazi or a fascist or a communist or a thing, and it's so watered down that I don't even know if anybody has any distinctions between what these words really mean.
Right. Well, we did a whole cast on that too.
Yeah, we did.
And Lori, I think the reason that people are so, apt to get in a group or to formulate, like wanting to belong to the group of the thing, it's a need for validation. It goes back, and I'm pretty sure we've done a cast on this as well. But
it's a fear of being called a nut, because that's what we've been socially engineered to believe we are.
Right.
If you don't have the same genes as everybody in your class,
right? Well, I think that goes hand in hand, because I think that's the fear that when you stand alone on a top, if you go out on that limb by yourself, and it's dangerous. All kinds of things can happen. What if people don't believe you? What if they don't agree with you? What if they argue with you? What if you lose a friend? What if you lose a family member over this? What if you, like, all of the, well, over here, everybody over here, they're all spouting the same thing, and it's all, I've got protection in the group. I've got validation in the group. I don't have to feel like I'm out on that limb by myself. And there is a time and a place for community and groups and the protection of brethren and brotherhood and fellowship and all of these things. There are times when groups and coming together can be a very beautiful, a very good thing. But what we're talking about is just this getting on board a bandwagon and fighting for something that you may not actually fully understand what it is you're fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point that, I mean, some of the extremes that some of these people go to, and the name calling, and just the type of speech, the way that people speak about each other. If we can't see by now that most of this is designed to, like you said, it's divisive, to pit us against each other, to pull us apart. What's the old phrase? United we what you stand, divided we fall. Wait, what's the whole thing? Yeah, divided we fall. Mm-hmm. Okay, united we stand, divided we fall. Because you cannot allow people to band together. You've got to break people up. You've got to have sides so everybody can be at war with each mm-hmm. other. And it's like keeping the peasants fighting over scraps. Keep them down, keep them weary, keep them fighting over the scraps. Throw a few crumbs in there, let them fight over the scraps. Meanwhile, that elite class, that upper echelon, is going to sit back and they're going to reap the benefits. Mm-hmm. And they've got the power because they're controlling the scraps. They're controlling they're coming in here and they're able to control thought now. We mm-hmm. haven't even gotten into the wearables and all of the advanced technology that they're bringing on board to further manipulate how we think, how we mm-hmm. see the world, how we formulate our thoughts, what our reality actually looks like. And this used to be stuff that would have been in a science fiction movie. Mm-hmm. Now this is reality. Yeah, there mm-hmm. are entire forums talking about all of these. We've got the neural implant chip. There's more innovations being done with that. There's all kinds of, like I said, wearables, and that all of these technologies that they're furthering to be able to, track human beings and read people's thoughts, which I still think is I'm like, there's no way. But They're working on it. They're pouring billions of dollars into it. And it's
Oh, they're
all under
telling us
control. Yeah, it's all for control. It is all
100%. And this is
yeah. Sorry,
that's
go
like the
ahead.
final frontier of social engineering now in this age we live in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? Because some of these pesky people just keep catching on or whatever. They're not doing our drugs. They didn't take our shot. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. We still got a big outlier base out here. You know what I'm saying? You got people in the tech industry. Neuralink. Okay. Yeah, you're telling us this great and groovy thing it can do. But no, it would be I'm sure that's just where the door will shut. I'm sure it's only going to help somebody who's missing a limb be able to, have a limb again and move it and be all these things. Sure. Because that's how everything bodes out. They always say, oh, I realize it has a capability of but think about the good. No, we're just selling you the good. We're thinking about down the road. All this stuff is so far thought down the road beyond what they're feeding us about what it's really about. It's gross. It's absolutely astounding how far down the road they are. And I mean, you got people coming out and saying, it's not unlikely that there could be an AI God. Okay. Well, if I deduct that somebody saying that, and what I know about, cultural modification, like social modifications, and now we're talking about implementing technology to it, which a lot of people already have in them, then okay, and we're already talking about digital ID, and you can just push your finger and buy stuff, and okay, no, but I'm not supposed to get that. That means you can socially punish us. You could get rid of prisons. You could punish us. You could do all kinds of things because, well, you got the AI God going. Know your thoughts. Steal your memories. Okay. Yeah. I'll die on the sword of I'm crazy. Don't really care. I'm just passing through this planet anyway. And which brings me to this, Sarah. It's all about trying to kill God. Now, if I was a devil, all right, and I wanted to rule the world, I would look at the blueprint that has been set in motion by God, and I would just make it opposite land. But I would use the same tactics. For example, we know that mind manipulation happens through repetition. And people can be hypnotized. I don't care who you are. You can be hypnotized. This is just sciencey neurological stuff. And it's what they know about us. So they take what they know about us, and instead of being something for good, all right, so they're going to hammer out everything that they want you to believe that's okay now. And a lot of this stuff is not okay. It is not okay that you got massive amounts of people being conditioned to being like, that's not that bad. It's fine. Whatever it is. I mean, there's a whole bunch of categories here. When the Bible talks about being repetitive by being in the Word every day, and renewing the mind, that phrase comes to me all the time. The renewing of the mind every day, and it says every day.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you're not renewing your mind in a way that represents something positive, or something that's comes from an authoritative position, right? And you're not doing that, somebody else is. Our minds are like voids, like vacuums, right? And I just, the bottom line is you see this stuff play out and you just go, well, for me, I say we're here and we have a duty to bring people into Christ if we can. And we have a responsibility to take care of people and to respond to people kindly and to not wish violence on people because they think they broke a law, and to not, all these crazy unhinged things I read. And I'm like, I don't even want to be a human right now. I'm so distraught that anybody could just keep repeating that this woman deserved to be shot in the face. No, I can't. I'm not.
No.
I'm not there, and I'm not going there. I am
Yeah,
not
well, it's the
going
same
there.
with Charlie Kirk. We did a whole show on that too, and how people, whether we like Charlie or we don't like Charlie, whether we agree with them or listen to, it doesn't matter. That people were saying he got what he deserved. I mean,
Right.
anytime someone
100%.
dies and you say they got what they deserve, you better be willing to back up that statement, because that is a very strong remark to make. And someone could turn around and say the same thing about you. It's like
This is my point.
there's a hubris in a statement like that I think we
Yes.
all need a good self-check if we've ever said, well, they got what they deserve, even if it wasn't a death. Somebody trips and falls on their face. Well, he deserved it. Wow. Very strong sentiment there.
And really, a lot of the sentiment comes from people who, believe.
And that goes right back to the,
or do they? I don't know.
well, it's right back to that manipulation of how we're thinking and how we're so easily brought onto that narrative and that bandwagon of that whatever narrative is being said, whatever's being pushed, whatever's being said, and we go, oh yeah, because it makes sense, right? When you're in your reason and you're going, yeah, and so now you're saying it and you're agreeing with it, and is it really what you agree with? I want to get back to what you just said, Lori, a moment ago, because I think you hit on something that ties in all of the things that we've kind of talked about, especially with like social engineering and manipulation and all of this and everything we're talking about right now. You were talking about neurology and the things that they know about the brain and so forth. And talking about money being spent earlier in the cast, there's I don't have a number. I don't have a number for you, but there is an insane amount of money that is spent on studies specifically linked to human behavior, the brain, neurology, all of these things. It's not just about wearables or technology. And we've talked about it with our social platforms. We've talked about it with television, but all of these things and all of these narratives, the news cycle, whatever you're hearing, whatever's being pumped out there in whatever medium it's being pumped out there, people need to understand that there is a lot of money, and this is not new. This has been decades upon decades upon decades spent studying human behavior, psychology, neurology, all of these things.
Sexuality.
Yes. Studying how we operate as humans. How can you effectively control and manipulate someone's thoughts and how to be persuasive and that and sway someone and to, really get in there and curate an entire reality. I think what bothers me is how easily we dismiss so many things. Oh, well, that's far-fetched. That's out there. I don't believe that. And we're so dismissive without looking at the ulterior motives. Who does it benefit? Because what's going on right now is not benefiting any of us. The divisiveness, the political, polarization and all of we're not benefiting from it, but somebody is. And I think also if you look, this is another thing, Lori, and I'm not saying that any of these podcast hosts, show hosts or anything like that are nefarious. I don't know any of them, but there's a lot of very popular podcasts and various shows and streaming things that are out there right now, that people listen to on both sides of the political platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are some very popular people, and they've got a lot of followers. And depending on what side of the camp you're on, right? Like you're listening to everything, and they're having guests on, and I think we need to be very careful who we give our credit to, who we give, our ear, give our so much of our time to, and our headspace to, because where let's look at, because these are big shows. They have production staffs, they have a lot of money, they have sponsorship. Where's the top of that? Is that show host? Are they running their entire thing themselves? Are they completely independent? Even if it looks like they are, a lot of times there's money. We're back to the money. It's being funneled in. And I'm not talking about things that you're watching on television. I'm not talking about news media. I'm talking about what you're going on YouTube and watching. I'm talking about, on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, it's the new
Get
TV of the day. I mean, it's
exactly.
mhm,
And what appears to be purely independent and benign, and yeah, this is a really good person, and sometimes could be someone who's been propped up because they're wearing that t-shirt of likability. They all of these studies that have been done for so long, they know who to prop up. They know who to put in these various, you know, platforms, how to get people to rally around someone, what is appealing, what will sway someone over here, sway someone over there. And you don't know that you're getting independent thought with any of these things that are that big and that popular. And we just have to be careful that we're not being fed a load of garbage, a load of crap that somebody wants us to believe, that somebody out there has an ulterior motive. It's a benefit to them to get someone on a certain narrative, a certain bandwagon, right? And I think we just need to access all of these things, right? And view and listen to whatever we come across with a
mhm.
grain of salt, with healthy analysis, using our own brains to ask questions. Like, for instance, so how did you reach that conclusion? How did you come up with that? Or, where can I see some more information on that? Can I see some more data? If we could approach things in our life like that, we don't
Mhm,
have to completely dismiss something, but
mhm.
at least have an investigative eye, an investigative approach. And okay, well, I'm not sure what I believe about this. Let me listen to all sides. Let me go do some digging on my own. But something in us has to switch from, yeah, rally the cry, and we're all just chanting the same thing because everybody around us is chanting it, to I want to make sure that I've got all the information here before I make a decision. I
Mhm,
can't talk,
mhm.
or a judgment about something.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we have to start because we are being played. We are being manipulated, even if we think we're not. We are being led down these paths. Know your leader. Who are you following? Why are you following this person?
Well, in every conversation and keystroke you make is being mined. Okay, so at the end of the day, they have data to replicate people. This is the whole thing. We're their big experiment for um, transhumanism and all these things. And they're going to make it so tailored. You know, that they already know in advance your reactions based on everything you
Mm-hmm.
fed them through comments and all the conversations, and now they can look at your emails. I mean, uh, and little kids, it starts for little
Mm.
kids pretty
Yes.
much when they're still in a freaking, they can't even crawl yet. They're getting toys with spies in them. And I mean, it's real. Okay, it's real. Like everything's being documented. And this is why I always say to new parents, get your kids off of social media. Get babies off of there. Get all of it. They're give them some autonomy of who they are
Yeah.
before they're grown. I saw this thing. It was unbelievable. This guy that does all this kind of high tech stuff. And there was this video out about how they can take pictures from like Instagram or whatever of a kid and kind of follow this kid, and then they can create the adult version of the kid
Mm.
based on these photos. And they can think about that. Think about the trickery in that. Think about the AI trickery. Like you get people, they can duplicate voices. We know this, right?
Oh,
People
yeah.
are using celebrities' voices, this, that, and the
Yeah.
other thing to say things they didn't say, or this, that, and the other thing. And so they can literally do this with people so that they can ransom people for money. And it was my granddaughter. She just called me. I know her voice.
Uh-huh.
Now we got faces. Now they're going to be doing the faces and the thing. And you say to yourself, okay, just because we have it, but why did somebody make it? Like, what would be the benefit in that?
It's a good question.
I just got a question about that. Like, what from the get go is the good about some of this? Neuralink, I see where there's a soft pitch there on people's heartstrings, on people that have an illness or like I mentioned,
Mm.
okay, but listen, it won't stop there. It will not stop there. and nothing ever stops anywhere.
Right.
This is why they call it tyranny. It's a fire.
Yeah.
In all these things, and in all these examples, whether it's government, money, greed, social engineering, technology, and we're sitting in the big cesspool of it all. We're in a time in history now where it's all there. It's all there. All the pieces are there to manipulate from every single front that there is. Every single one of them. And it's just my personal opinion that we're exactly where we're supposed to be. This is where we find ourselves, right? And you have choice within that now of going, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to take the big fat nap, get whatever, check, please. I say that a lot when you text me gross stuff or send me
Yes.
gross links, and I'll just go, check, please. But the reality of it is I'm not the sort of person who can hide under a rock. I was not born for a time as this to do that. My voice means nothing and everything as much as anybody else's. And I just feel like I'm supposed to do the best with what I've got where I'm at. I also think that there's not this side of a new reality. There's not a turn back for this. It's I think it's all been told. And when I see the consolidation efforts underway, I can't help but just get pretty triggered about what triggered me long ago in the Bible about how the world comes down to 10 kings. And I feel like, all this land consolidation and all this vying for taking over countries, and we'll step in as the death and
taking over people.
How in the world can I not just go back to that and go, once again, nailed it?
Yeah. It comes down to the heart of man, of men,
Yeah.
and
at some point, all this, there ain't no stopping this,
It's
God's preordained a lot of things.
Yeah. It's a heart filled with greed or a heart filled with humility. It's a heart filled with self. It's a heart filled, again, with humility, with worship, with honor, with purity. Like you talk about two camps. You want to talk about two sides.
Right. Let's talk about it.
It's those who worship themselves and those who worship God, right? It's those who want what they want. It's those who are elevating self above everything else, whether they think that's what they're doing or not. It's those who are seeking self-elevation, self-glorification, right? It's the works of the flesh versus those who are seeking something higher, something nobler, something purer. All right.
Yeah.
The works of the Spirit. And those are the true two camps.
This is it. Well, that's what we believe. But the thing is it plays out every day. And so listen, if I heard me talk and I never stuck my nose in a Bible, I'd have questions.
And I should have said fruit of the Spirit, not works of the Spirit. I just realized that I said works twice. Sorry. Fruit of the Spirit. I'm correcting myself. Sometimes you get to talking and the words, they just fly. And then you go, what word did I say?
Who are you telling that to, Sarah? The queen of bumbling.
Get all kinds of things on this show, folks. If this is your first time listening to us or watching us, listen.
Wow.
It's a whole bag of fruit and nuts, but we've got some truth and some wisdom coming at you. So it's a grab bag of a lot of things.
I hold on to this so tightly that I cannot. I hold on to the Lord very tightly, but in terms of how I can maneuver in this cesspool of caca, I feel like I absolutely believe that no one is an accident and everybody's as important as anybody else. Mm-hmm. That's what helps keep me humble, because no one tapped me, whether through money, wisdom, or position or stature or country where I was born or anything else tapped me and said, you can call it, you can call them, you can call these people and know everything, and you're going to be right. And it's never happened to me. It's never happened to me. So I wouldn't be comfortable doing it, because I would have to say to myself, who said I could do that? Me? Well, everybody would want to say that. I mean, it's a kind of a simplistic conclusion to a no-way street. And like, oh, if everybody thinks that everybody has the right to judge everybody, then it's being done upon you, and it's done. What are we doing right now? It doesn't even make, actually, it just doesn't even make Spock type logical sense. It seems like an exercise in futility if I've ever thought of one. But sometimes those exercises are really fun to think about, because it gets your mind to a place that goes, a resounding light bulb moment of such simplistic truth. I have never been told that I have the right to make a decision on a video I saw on someone's life.
Mm-hmm.
I can have an opinion, but I can't hold that tight to even my own opinion a lot of the time. Okay. Because I've never been granted the end all of the conclusionary, just server in it. I don't know. I'm no judge. I'm very aware that I'm not a judge. How about that? How about that? We got 9 people who are supposed the judges of this whole country. Okay. And I hope I never have to be in that court. I listen, and I'm worried enough about the one judgment I know of. So it keeps me humble, and it keeps me living the race set before me.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot, I have to finish well. Yeah. This is important to me. If I'm not an accident, then I have purpose.
Right. And if we're, in talking about that, Lori, it's like, we're so quick to dismiss things that people are saying. Are we going to be so quick to dismiss people? We're dismissing each other, and invalidating human life. I think it is a very precarious place to be, because even the worst person you can think of at the end of the day is still a human being, is still a soul on this earth. And we have to value life. We have to value humanity. We have to value, we don't have to agree with behaviors and attitudes and, words and actions. We can take a stand if something is diametrically opposed to what we believe in. We can take a stand against that, but we have to be very careful that we don't lump people into these categories that we are then just dogging and dumping, and we stop valuing human life. That's a whole topic. That could be an entire show in and of itself, because we are at, I think, a precipice right now, Lori, where human life, the value of human life is at the lowest it's ever been, at least in my lifetime. Okay. I've not lived the thousands of years this earth has been around, but I think it is dangerous, and we need to wake up to this, and we need to be very presently aware and acutely aware of the value of life, and how that sanctity is leaving. It's going by the wayside very quickly, very, very quickly. So
yeah. And while the force of guns is obvious, the force of the tongue is equally violent. And that's why I was saying earlier about, we seem so callous in situations of people we don't know.
Yes.
It's like some get out of jail free card, because you don't know them. You can remove yourself completely away from the reality of how ridiculous so many things are, because it's not in your inner circle. We've gotten very callous. many people have. And, it's something I have to keep in check every day. Your mind gravitates easily to jumping to conclusions or, wanting to lash out at the very people that you're mad about and stuff. And I just have to go, just work on yourself, girl. I everybody's got their day in one way or another. And I'm just working on mine over here. I'm in Camp Love, by the way.
Amen. I love it. Yes.
In all these situations, sometimes where it's he did it, she did it, they did it, they started it, he did it, and I'm just trying to love them all. I'm just trying to be like, they're all just me. They're all just people with.
Well, and whatever's happening, Lori, I think we need to get used to, we need to change our perspective on it. We all own some part in the state of affairs on this planet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We all own a part in it.
I agree.
And that's why one man had to come and die for all, because there's no innocent person on this earth.
None.
We are all guilty of terrible things.
There's
every
not
single
one righteous,
person.
no, not one.
And
not
so
one.
We all,
including judges, including police, including ICE, including presidents, including gurus, including not one. There's not one.
So before you point the finger, make sure you also look in the mirror and say, what could I have done better? How have I contributed to this? Where's my place in this? What do I need to own up to? Because we all have an accountability and a responsibility to acknowledge that accountability.
Exactly. And some good old fashioned shame and conviction is a freeing experience. I can't recommend it highly enough. And I go through it weekly. So, because we live in a powerful force here, and it's ridiculous. But there's also the beautiful people, and God made so many beautiful creations and people.
Yep.
I am not jaded. I'm pretty salty, and I'm pretty bombastic sometimes about the things that I see, and in trying to want to have people kind of just question. I don't guarantee my method of, you can't say things that everybody hears in the way that you hope that your heart is saying them, but to not say them at all is it's not the move. It's not the move. And it's how we get here. It's how we stay in this matrix ridiculous thing, is by going, if my friends heard me say that, listen, I've lost them all. I lost a lot of, when I ran for office, I lost some friends, and I guess they weren't really that great of friends. Why? Well, because I either didn't agree with some of the platitudes of the multitudes, or I changed my mind completely later on. And I had to endure what honesty in changing a mind brings. Who knew? It's like, wait, you mean I'm locked in forever? Wait, is this a covenant situation? I didn't know I could never change my mind. And, here's the deal. Everybody knows you can change your mind. You just can't vocalize that you changed your mind. Because if too many do that, you don't have a very big club anymore. So I get it. I get how, it's nice to be liked, but everybody's misunderstood to a degree. You know what I'm saying? Come on. But then if you don't say anything, how is anybody ever going to understand you? And so hopefully today, Sarah, we've spoken to a few people who are like-minded, or we've raised some questions for people that are struggling with one. Here's what I know. People are feeling stuff.
Yeah.
It's in the It's in the literal atmosphere. The vibrations of the planet are askew and shifting, and people feel it. People feeling it physically, spiritually. There's a lot going on, right? And it's kind of exciting times. These are the best and these are the worst times. I feel like we're just shaken. It's just, we got a big martini on the way, shaken, not stirred. We are shaken, something chronic. And it's a good time to get back in touch with yourself, and figure out what's really important.
It's also the year of popcorn. I have marked.
Your popcorn. You can't have enough. Can't have enough.
Matter
of fact, is there anybody want a popcorn endorsement? That's what we need, Sarah.
We do, because 2026 is the year because it's every year, I know, but I am at this point now. I'm looking at everything that's happening and all these questions. We got questions. This is our second We Got Questions episode. And I feel like this year, Lori and I have been talking about it behind the scenes, that this is the year that we just hang by with our bucket of popcorn and just see what's going to keep rolling off the presses here, because it's a doozy. It's a doozy.
Once all these people go to two broadcasters on YouTube and subscribe, and those numbers rack up, I'm telling you, whatever popcorn company, preferably a GMO one.
Not non-GMO.
Not correct. Thank you. That's what I meant. And not GMO.
Sorry, Orville.
Yeah, we'd have a hard time with that. I can't lie about that.
There's some small companies, some small business popcorn people.
I've got
farmers, popcorn farmers. Hey, we support farmers on this show.
Yep.
I'll take a sponsorship.
Can
we get a sponsorship from GT's kombucha?
I should have one.
GT's.
By now.
GT's. I buy a lot of
I've spent
stuff,
the funds.
So
okay.
We've spent the funds. We would like a little bit of that back. So anyway, this is a great flavor, by the way, if anyone hasn't had that. For those not on YouTube, if you're listening to it, this is the pomelo pink lemonade that I was holding up. So I have to remember, not everybody's watching us. There's some people are still audio only. So
we're big kombucha fans over here, and
we are.
I gotta say, that's the one I always end up going back to, and some of them are fine, but
that's the only one we buy.
The feel of that one the most. It feels the most like that's my soda. That particular brand.
Yeah. Do you hear this, GTs? This is the only one I buy. I never buy any other.
Oh no,
brand
I've strayed.
Of kombucha. I haven't. At least one broad has not strayed. So,
one broad is given a comparison here, Sarah, to be able to say why I go back to that one. All right.
I think I just got too close to my mic. I apologize if anybody's ear busted out. Yeah.
Compare and contrast is a fundamental.
Compare and contrast is good. Yes. Yeah. Oh man,
Sarah,
Lori,
it's been fun.
It's been something.
We
may have scared some of our audience today, and chased some people away. Either way, I'm happy that anyone has listened to us, watched us, participated in this discussion. Let us know in the comments. So if you're on YouTube watching this or listening to this on YouTube, comment, let us know. Tear into it. I mean, we want to hear
into it.
Yeah, good or bad, or whether you agree or disagree.
Yeah,
we want to hear what you have to say.
My big caveat about that, though, Sarah, is if because I've already voiced the fact that I don't like unkindness.
Well,
I'm not doing that.
If you're being mean just to be mean, come on now, let's go.
And listen, if that's your thing,
hear anything we said.
Here's what you're going to hear these two broads say. We would encourage you to get your own cast if you don't already have one.
There you go. Yes. Yeah.
I want to you should take your brand of whatever that you want to counter all these other things with and stuff. And whether it's just our cast or somebody else, go and do that. If that's you go do that. I don't want to stop anybody from saying anything. I just don't want to promote unkindness.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if it's not truly unkind, we're not going to respond to a comment that is out of pure meanness. Come on, grow up. Let's all be adults here. So,
amen. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I'm not feeding into this immaturity realm. All right.
We
Not
had a
that I
cast on that also. Sorry, I'm
right.
plugging all the older casts today, or all the previous casts. It's great. 143 casts you can go listen to anytime you want on all podcast platforms. Now, also on YouTube, and you can find us on all of the socials. Not to steal your rolling out thunder, Lori, but I just threw that in there.
Thank you for doing it because you're the co over there, and I don't want since you did that, I just thought of something I'd like to shout out to about
All
again
right.
since we're all living in this global society. I am extremely pleased with the downloads we get from across the globe, and that just tickles me. So they all tickle me, but just the fact that you wonder what it's like to sit someplace else and listen to us, I guess gives me a different kind of a tickling because it's you wonder where when they're clearly it's not one offs. There's some countries that it's a small number, but it's a consistent number. So we have I think we have some people who enjoy the cast in places, and I always wish I knew who they were, because it's like I want to have you on the cast. Oh, and speaking of which, I want to get Alex back on the cast. There's a lot of mumbling about Mexico. All right, we need to get our man Alex back on the show, who lives in Mexico, who was a wonderful guest.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe take a little Mexico temperature. I asked my brother to ask him, but I don't know if he was with him when I did that. But he sent me a picture of him and Alex together, and I was so kind of jelly, right?
Mark and Alex, shout out.
Yes. And Karina, he sent a picture of her too, his lovely wife. So yeah, they're great. Just everybody out there listening, we love you. Okay. And agree with us, not agree with us. We're still lovable. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, Sarah. It's been an honor.
Oh, same, Lori.
Every week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. You got yours?
No,
you don't have
I've
yours?
packed it up. I'm changing studios. This will be the last time I'll be in this space.
It's going to be exciting.
Next week will be the last one I'll be in this space. We got some good guests coming up soon with some casts in February. We've got a lot going on, and we're along for the ride with you, my friends. So everybody be good to each other out there. Love you, Sarah.
Love you.